Hey everybody, and welcome to the Premodern Showdown Series 2. This is episode 10. I am Michael Hoyp. I'm joined tonight by Flint Esville. Say hi, Flint.
Hi, everybody.
And tonight, you can see on screen, we have two matches that we'll be playing tonight. We have Andy playing against Brian for our first match, and then we will close out the night with Aaron up against Anthony. So let's go over to our band screen. We can figure out what decks the players have available to pick from. So Andy's three decks are Pirates, Sliv Deuce, and Wild Zombies. And Wild Zombies was banned. And Brian has Mind Slicer, the Birds, and Solfatara Springs, in which his Mind Slicer deck was banned. So Andy has opted to play the Sliv Deuce deck, while Brian has chosen the Birds. So let's go over the decks. We can just take a quick look at this, and then I have a slide that will talk about what I predict to be the key cards of the matchup. So here we have the Sliv Deuce deck, and we have seen Andy play this deck, I believe it was last week. And what it is an aggressive Sliver deck that is backed up by burn spells, some pump spells, and removal spells. So the Sliver suite is Muscle Sliver, Plated Sliver, Metallic Sliver, Spine Sliver, and Blade Sliver. So the Muscle Sliver and Blade Sliver can increase the power and make them a little bit quicker of a clock. And then some of the removal spells are Lightning Bolt and Swords of Plowshares. Raincore can give a little bit more power and give trample to the creatures. And then kind of one of the cool cards is Waxwane, which is either a pump spell or an enchantment removal spell. So it's never really dead. Can take out a key enchantment against some of the decks that other aggro decks might struggle with, or you could just use it as a +2/+2 in a pinch. So pretty aggressive deck and pretty powerful from what we had seen before. Moving over to the Birds, Flint, do you want to quickly highlight what's going on with this blue-white tribal deck?
Yeah, I'll be pretty quick about this. Obviously we're in episode 10 at this point. We've seen this deck, but basically what Brian's trying to do is play out as many birds as he can as fast as possible. He has a couple cards to help him do that. And then Battle Screech is really a key card here in terms of getting birds, tapping those birds, getting more. And then he has opposition to try to use his creatures to tap down his opponent's permanents and eventually swarm in for the win.
All right, I'll move over to our key card screen. So these are the ones to look out for tonight. So for the Birds, I think a key card is Opposition if it can stay on the board, because the Birds deck typically I think will have smaller creatures than the Slivers, and so they're not going to be able to get in combat or necessarily even race that well. But if an Opposition lands, the Birds might do a better job of going wide and can turn that creature advantage just to tapping the Slivers deck and win their race that way. In contrast, Waxwane is a great card, mostly because it answers the opposition, and in a pinch it can win a combat. But I think the idea is it is just the failsafe against the opposition. Muscle Sliver I think is a key card for the Slivers because it just increases the power and toughness of the Slivers. It makes the clock a little bit quicker. It makes the Slivers a little bit more formidable in combat, and just kind of does it all. And then both decks have access to Swords of Plowshares. I think it's a little bit more important for the Birds because I think the Birds might find itself in the early to mid game falling behind on board, and a timely Swords of Plowshares can take out a key creature. I think Brian only has two in the main and two in the board, so I would expect to see the full four in the sideboarded games. But these are the cards that I would look out for in the matchup tonight. Okay, let's jump over to the match. If you want to be back online now that we can see things properly. So now you can let the players know that they can get started, and we will start the match off.
Done. And Andy is on the play here, folks. So we'll see how that plays into it as well. I imagine Mike's going to get a poll up here so we can vote for who we think is going to be the victor.
I do have that, so I'll put that up. You guys have a couple of minutes to vote whether you think it's going to be the Sliv Deuce deck in the hands of Andy or Brian with the Birds.
What are we seeing here, Mike? We're seeing a plated sliver from Andy, and then Brian is running out. Is that a Suntail Hawk?
Suntail Hawk off an
All
Attica Waste, so
right.
he takes the damage to do it. But let's pull up the lovely Suntail Hawk. The 1 mana 1/1 flyer wouldn't cut it in today's, but
So
format,
insane. Ooh, muscle sliver here. So we're gonna pump the dude. So Andy's gonna swing in here with his 2/3 sliver and take Brian down to 17.
yeah, and here's the kind of like the problem, and I guess even to a lesser extent, like the plated sliver, uh, is one we didn't really talk about that much, but just giving an extra toughness to the creatures
Big deal.
is actually a big deal. So I think that one almost is just enough. So it's kind of just like the muscle sliver is just even that much better.
And Brian takes another point here to play out his Defiant Falcon as well.
Okay.
Passes the turn. Andy's got a Wasteland here, so an opportunity to kind of tempo Brian out, but he does only have one counter left on other Gemstone Mine, so he may hold off for right now.
Yeah, and given the way that things have been played, it Brian might not have a second white source. Yeah, I have to imagine. I have to imagine he doesn't. Otherwise he wouldn't have taken the damage. So.
Yeah.
All right, Raincore coming down.
Whew.
So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Brian's down to 10.
All right, yeah, this is Brian alluded to saying that the match might be done pretty quick, and given the pace we're at right now, I think he might be right because like he doesn't even have that many good answers to this situation.
Yeah, he elects to Wasteland regardless and then runs out a Metallic Sliver. So really just trying to end this game as fast as possible.
Okay, we do see a portent that is going to take up Brian's turn though, and he does not have the luxury of time right now. A Metallic Sliver was added. I guess that was something we didn't mention. So that's a 2/3 as well. So.
Gonna shuffle his library. Oh, okay. It looks like people have predicted Andy on Sliv Deuce to win this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess if they would have waited to the end of the poll, they might have been able to see the first few turns. Then they would have had an even better idea of what's going on.
It's a little rough there. Another Darker Wastes.
Mm-hmm.
And he is going to take a point to run out another Suntail Hawk.
Yep. So he's at 9, and he's facing down, what would we say, 4, 6, 8?
8 damage, yeah.
So he'll get in there for 2. I can't even think of a card that in this situation, like he won't be able to resolve an opposition. Well, there's another Wasteland that won't help either.
No. It's going to go down to 1. No blocks.
Oh, and a Wax-Swain.
Wax-Swain. Scoop it up. Okay.
All right. Well,
pretty quick.
Yeah, that was a convincing fashion that the Slivers took down the birds.
Welcome, Rock and Grill Nerd, and welcome everybody else. It's great to see you all tonight in chat. It's crazy that we're already at episode 10.
All right, let's jump over the deck screen. Let's look at sideboards, see if things are going to change. Pyroblast is a card I could maybe see coming in. I guess Opposition is a key card. I don't know how Keeper of the Nine Gales is a blue permanent. Essence Sliver is fine. I mean, I think a lot of these situations are racing from the bird's perspective, so that one seems fine too. Crystalline Sliver doesn't seem bad. I guess there's not like a ton of targeted removal, but cards like Opposition and Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah.
I mean, none of these cards seem bad. I guess I mean, I don't think I don't know. It seems like all upside here. Like Andy could just kind of pick what he wants, and I think it doesn't matter. I think his deck seems like it's in a good position here, and he can take it at some different angles, and I think he's good no matter which direction he takes it. What do you think?
Would you? So I do like Crystalline Sliver because Brian does potentially bring in more swords, and there's opposition. So just having, so many of the cards in his hand potentially be blanks against Sliver seems good. But if you bring Crystalline Sliver, what do you take out? Do you take out Plated Sliver, Are you?
You might take out Rancor. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's obviously a
Yeah,
no-go, but because like at least the Wax Wing, at least you can still cast the Wax Half. Uh, but it's a little bit awkward when you have those two together. I don't know, but
yeah.
I mean, like Rancor seems like pretty decent in this matchup.
It does seem
So,
really good, right?
so I don't know. Maybe that's a reason not to bring in Crystalline Silver. I don't know. Like I said, well, it'll be interesting to see what Andy thinks because obviously he has a little more experience with the deck. Let's look
Yeah.
at the sideboard of the Birds deck. So I think the two extra Swords of Postures will come in. I think the Shared Triumph is a card. The problem is this is just vulnerable to Waxwing,
Mhm.
but I think it's kind of something you need to do. It might give you a chance where your creatures can fight the slivers a little bit better. Um, and see that it's kind of like that awkward spot. Like if Andy had a lot less enchantment removal, then Worship would be a card that looks appealing. But there's just assuming that those are staying in. There's that and Seal of Cleansing, and so I just don't think you can rely on that one Worship.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I
there's an
mean,
argument for bringing in multiple enchantments and just saying that Andy can't draw them all, but at the same time, he's got a pretty short clock here. The Slivers deck is just so fast. So,
I think you do want Worship. I mean, a lot of the situations I talk about, like the opponent answering it, but you do have a bunch of evasive creatures. So if you have a Worship in play, it might take a while for Andy to draw a removal spell for it, and that might be enough to steal a game. I think it's probably your best bet. Like, also you do have some amounts of counter magic that like a mana leak might be able
to
to
back it up.
counter. So I think it's very reasonable to bring a Worship, even though it's not just like a card that's going to necessarily stay in play. But
So you bring in what? The two swords, you bring in the worship, do you bring in the shared triumphs as well?
I think so. The take out take out the airborne aids. Take out two of those. Um,
Sounds
the,
good.
maybe you could shave some of the Keeper of the Nightingales, like the creatures, or maybe all of them. The slivers are just so cheap that they might not stay in play.
Yeah, maybe one op, two keepers, and two airborns for the five. We'll see. We'll see what he does.
All right. It looks like the players are shuffling up in their drawing cards, so it looks like a mulligan is happening for Brian. So
Hmm.
bad news for Birds fans. But if you're oh, what's the phobia for birds?
Now, what is the phobia for birds?
That was not a smooth transition. That's all I could say. Um,
If you are a bird phobia,
egg
it's
agorapho-
ornithophobia.
ornithophobia. Okay.
Yeah. Just remember
I
ornithopter.
was gonna say, is that where the origin of?
Ornithophobia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a magic
I,
card? Ornithophobia.
ornithology might be the study of birds.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah.
All right. Does not look like ornithophobia is a magic card. That one would be. What would ornithophobia do? Uh, would it be bad against flyers or good against flyers? You're afraid of it.
I think it would be good for flyers because your opponent's going to be scared.
Well, I'm thinking maybe it's like someone is afraid of birds, so he like builds this machine that shoots down birds or something.
That's fair. You know what the fear of snakes is?
Arachnophobia.
No, that's spiders.
Oh,
There's also a magic card for it.
why?
Think of a snake whispering in your ear. It's a phobia. Ophidian.
Okay.
Not that we don't really use the phobia terms anymore in psychology. It's just specific phobia, but all of those terms are still out there.
So, is there any study like if people just say that like, oh, I'm afraid of spiders, that like more people become afraid of spiders?
There can be like fear contagion, certainly. It can definitely be a thing.
I mean, I'm not saying that like 100% of it is there, but I feel like that's a influencer. I don't know. I just feel like if like my wife is always like screaming because there's a spider on the wall that my daughters are gonna
Oh
do the
yeah,
same do
certainly.
the same
Yeah,
thing.
modeling.
Like
Yeah,
yeah, so
parents model behaviors for their kids.
yeah.
So if this is not the parenting advice, this is not official, by the way, everybody. But yes, when parents tend to freak out about certain things, kids learn that those things may or may not be dangerous and may be more likely to freak out as well. It's
Yeah,
vicarious learning.
my kid came down today when I was working, and she's like, "There's a spider in the living room." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not gonna do anything about it." Like, not because I'm afraid. I'm just like, if you don't
What's
want
the
it there,
spider's name?
if you don't want it there, like, get a piece of a napkin and smush it and throw it out. Like, I don't know. Otherwise, just leave it alone. All right, we're starting the match. I don't
All
know
right, here
how
we
many
go.
mulligans we've been. What's the fear of mulliganing? Is that
Ooh, that is a good question.
how many cards are in Mano's hand? Does not look like that many. All right. Anyways, we got a plated sliver.
All right. And we have a non-pain land for mana, so that's good.
All right.
And a
That's
shared
a
triumph.
fair triumph. Naming sliver. Wait, no. You did that wrong.
No.
It's a slip. A slip up. No, no
Slip.
takesy
I mean
backsies.
bird. I mean griffin.
All right. Just one. Just one. All right.
All right.
The land that Brian played is a seaside haven. I don't know if we will have time for this to get value, but it's pretty cool if this can get online and you get to use it. But the luxury of time, I don't think, is something that Brian has in this matchup. It looks like one drops are what Andy's has. So at least at this point, the clock is not as scary as it was in previous turns or
Oh,
previous games.
yeah, that was pretty fast.
Yep. But this could be like a blade sliver or something, and then looks like it is a blade sliver. So that's a 2-minute 2/2 that increases the power of blade slivers.
Mm-hmm. What kind of a blade do you think that Sliver's working with? You think he's got a switchblade? Do you think he's got more of a shiv?
It's like
What do you think he's brandishing?
a scythe. I don't know. Actually, it
Ooh,
does.
scythe.
Actually, he does not have scythe. I was thinking he had little scythe hands, but they look less scythey than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how much damage did Minnow take? He took 4 that turn.
He's down to 15.
Okay. And we have a 2/2 Defiant Falcon, so it can
That
currently
boy's got a switchblade.
it can currently block none of them now. Do you think? Maybe Andy names Bird as well? Like,
Yeah, sympathy, shared sympathy triumph.
yeah. Don't think that's the case. So this is just a crunch and a half. So
Rock and Groll Nerd, we got kind of a mix. I mean, some players like Sean are playing all combo decks, so it definitely varies.
I would say there's less aggro decks in general, just because in the pre-modern card pool, like the creatures relative to the spells, I don't think are as powerful, and it's kind of hard to like be creative with the aggressive decks. I feel like it's a little bit more difficult, but you could say that both of these decks are definitely Andy's deck is aggressive. Brian's deck definitely can be the aggressor in certain matchups, but it has elements to be more controlling. All right, here's a muscle sliver. So these are big slivers now. They were big before, but Brian's just gonna pretend that he like disconnected, and that maybe the game can go on for a little bit longer.
So I actually sent a message to the group chat and said next players may want to start getting set up. Sorry, Mano. So he probably saw that I messaged the group and was like, "What is it?"
Yeah, he do it. So all right, that was quite the stomping. So congratulations to anyone who predicted the slivers as the victor. You were correct. But let's jump over and listen to the players.
Keeper of the Nine Tails, Share Triumph, and 5 lands. I don't think that's beating you. And then I kept, or I mulliganed again. I kept a 1 lander with, or I had 1 out of card wastes. And
okay.
But yeah, I just don't think. I think you probably win that match. I don't know, more than 9 out of 10 times.
I don't know. Yeah, possibly.
or it's very high.
Yeah, my first hand I saw Treetop Village and Lair Land. I was like, I can cast a 1-drop on turn 2 and a 1-drop on turn 3. It's probably not ideal, but
Yeah, I mean, against where I ended up keeping, it was actually would have probably been fine.
wow.
I just brought in the swords, and I brought in the Shared Triumphs because I thought maybe if I just get lucky and just flood the board and can outrace you.
Yeah.
Really,
okay, yeah, I brought in the Crystallines and 1 Pyroblast. Yeah.
You brought in the Crystallines? Okay.
I did, yeah. Just basically against like opposition and keeper and swords and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I might have even glossed over the fact that you actually play 4 Waxwanes. So like even my trump card, quote unquote, of opposition is still basically dead.
Yeah,
so,
I felt pretty prepared against the enchantment plan. Yeah.
Yeah, I just have. Yeah, maybe this was just worse. Maybe I underestimated, but I think I'm not much better against the zombie deck anyway. So
I don't know. Yeah, this ban actually was pretty tricky. Because I wanted to play zombies against Mind Slicer if possible, but I knew you probably wouldn't let that happen, so I had to ban Mind Slicer as basically the best deck. But then after that, I was thinking like, at first I thought our other 2 decks were like kind of evenly matched against each other, but then I was thinking, I think Pirates would pretty much crush Solfatara. Just if you look at the sideboard, especially.
what's on the sideboard?
4 nulls, 3 Hydroblast, 3 chill.
Hydroblast and chill are pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like pretty favored post board. Plus, I have 3 Black Vice in the main, so I can kind of race you with the Black Vice thing.
Sure. Yeah. So that's like, but that I actually think was maybe my best shot, and it's still not very good. You know? Like,
okay.
I mean, other than playing like Mind Slicer against Slivers or something, which I knew wasn't gonna. But
yeah. So I assumed you would probably play birds, and then at that point, I figured slivers with the removal would probably be good enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I mean, you're faster than me. Your creatures are bigger. It's just and you have the Waxwing trump card, even if I can get an opposition out or something.
Right.
So, yeah. All right. Well, thanks for making it quick.
Yeah, that's another 2 weeks in a row. I've finished my match in like 20 minutes, but
I needed that because last couple weeks of mine have gone pretty long. So this one.
Okay, these guys are laughing their ass off.
I'm distracted. I've barely been listening because like I'm just looking in the background of Flint and his dog is like heaving. I think his dog puked. I don't know. I don't know.
He probably watched the performance I put on.
Yeah.
So that's a natural reaction.
I thought Comical Flop was just killing it.
Yeah.
He's just hacking up a bone.
Yeah. Yeah, we were joking that Andy, you could have named birds with that shared triumph you played, and you still would have been able to win.
Yeah, I thought about it. Yeah.
That may have been the first time we've seen 2 shared triumphs in play on opposite sides of the boards in Premodern. So at least we got to check that off our bucket list.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but on paper, yeah, this looked like a difficult matchup for the birds. The slivers come out quick, and they're just bigger than your birds. So.
And he has 7 1-mana removal spells, and he has Waxwing as a to be my trump card of opposite, quote unquote trump card. I think in retrospect I did it wrong. I should have probably just banned slivers and had to fight against a Firestorm zombie deck. But either way,
yeah,
my back was against the wall. I didn't have any outs here really.
Did you? I think you had your sideboard up before. Did you consider bringing in Worship?
No, he's 4 Waxwings.
Yeah, so that was my initial impression, but we were kind of talking about it. But it just seems like things are so bad that like maybe you just are able to stick it and like get like 3 turns out of it, and like might be able to race him then. But I don't know.
That's was just a thought. Actually, not the worst call. It might go along with my shared triumph plan of just playing a Worship. If he doesn't draw Waxwing for a few turns, and I just fly over in the air if I can't play Worship. Yeah, that's probably true actually. So, yeah, that's a good call.
I guess you could try to like bait the Waxwing with like a shared triumph for an opposition or something, and then try to land Worship.
Yeah,
right, and then just sit around. You just have you have piles of removal though still.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think actually that's probably I should have just brought that into in addition to one other whatever garbage main deck card I decided to cut.
Sure.
But yeah, that's probably the right play.
Yeah. If you have stuff you can cut, yeah, it makes sense.
Oh, I have a lot of stuff I can cut.
Just a few cards in there.
Yeah. I almost kept in one airborne aid just in case.
Yeah. When we talked about sideboarding, I'm like, well, I know what I would take out. I'd take out these airborne aids.
There's a little disdain in his voice too. You know?
I mean, we all know they should be fact or fiction.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We know that. That's not the point.
Yeah. Like, have you been? You haven't been able to cast one, have you?
No, I actually played one. Funnily enough, I played like one practice game against Robin before any of this shit started, and he was on. I forgot he was on his clerics list, and I did it for like 7. I drew 7 with it.
Oh wow. Okay.
The one game, that was the one practice game, and I was like, all right, I guess this can stay.
So let's just say, like, on average, like, what is like the breaking point of where you're happy? Is it like 3 cards you're happy and 2 you're satisfied, or like, is it?
I think for sure I'm happy with 3 cards, which is sad given that card exists. I could just play Concentrate, you know. But again, it's for when I cast Battle Screech into Battle Screech and draw 9 off it, and just for the show, right?
Yeah.
That's
yeah. If you draw 7 cards off it, I feel like you're probably winning that game already. But
the sad part is you said probably. I'm probably only like 85% to win, even if I play a personal draw, you know. All right, well, that's that. Good luck.
Oh my God, it's only 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
These guys have half an hour now.
We got a little bit of time. We'll be able to fill
Are
it with some stuff.
Are they ready to go or no?
At least one of them is, but yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. We've got some things we'll throw up, and then
I got some slides.
The next match.
It's not worth talking about this match at all. That was horrible TV. Flint, I'm glad your dog was able to provide some entertainment for the folks at home.
I made the joke that it may have taken him longer to actually get what was in there up than the match itself. So
yeah, at least one of us succeeded.
Yeah,
I think he's the real winner tonight. He or she, I don't know which.
But regardless, thanks for the games, guys. You know, good luck next week, Mano, and congrats, Andy.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah,
later, guys.
All right, take it easy.
All right, let's jump over and let's get to know some of these players a little bit more. So we have asked all the contestants who your biggest pre-modern rival is, and Andy said Joe Martin Knoll. That's not a player that I've played against, though. I feel like I've seen his name popping up on the Facebook group lately. Are you familiar with him?
I am not.
Okay. So it might be someone that Andy knows, and the rivalry stems there. So I can't add too much to that. But going forward with the artist, Rebecca Guay, it seems like a pretty popular choice that I think the other players that we had seen earlier, a lot of people like Rebecca. And yeah, very distinctive art style and definitely very pretty. Best flavor text, the Black Knight. Battle doesn't need a purpose. The battle is its own purpose. You don't ask why a plague spreads or a field burns. Don't ask why I fight. That is the Alpha Black Knight, which is a pretty sweet flavor text.
I thought the flavor text was the Black Knight always triumphs.
Well, not according to my Google search. I use Scryfall.
It's a Monty Python reference.
Oh. Okay. All right.
Never mind.
Yep. Well, I mean, the good thing is everyone in the audience got the joke, but I didn't.
That's what matters. That's what keeps them coming back.
So, yes. So, Andy's favorite vacation is in Spain. So, I think you said you haven't been out to Europe.
Me?
Right. Yeah.
I've been to Deutschland, Czech Republic, and Austria.
Oh, okay. So,
but I have not been to Spain or Sweden. I'd love to go out there, play some pre-modern at some point.
Okay. Andy's favorite pizza toppings, spinach and feta, which I enjoy. Not something that I want all the time, but every now and then that is my top choice. So.
Do you put any artichoke hearts on that pizza?
Yeah, I mean, well, basically, I guess if a restaurant has like a custom pizza or something that they suggest and it has like artichoke stuff on it, sure, I'll eat it. It's not usually like I most of the time wouldn't request it, but if someone says like, this is what we have on our pizza, I usually don't take stuff off. I don't know.
Spinach, feta, artichoke hearts, and sun-dried tomatoes. If you're looking for a non-meat pizza, highly recommend.
That's it. I feel like a lot of times when I have those, I have chicken on there.
Ah,
I feel like chicken goes a lot pretty well with those like Alfredo sauce type pizzas. All right, moving on for Brian. Biggest pre-modern rival. He says he doesn't have one yet. So if you play Brian enough, maybe you can be his rival. So, encouraging words for everyone. And going to his favorite Magic artist, he said, which is kind of funny because I've listened to his podcast where he primarily talks about old school, and he does always, I think a lot of times he does have like comments on the art, but he almost like never knows who the artist is, which I think is really funny, like given how long he's like played and he's just been immersed by Magic for so long, and he just really just, the artists are not that important to him, but ironically like the art kind of does matter, I feel like, because unless I'm getting this wrong, but I mean, I feel like he has talked about like the Shivan dragon, or Shivan dragon, I should say, and as he says it, and some of those things. So it's just funny how the artist is not important to Brian. His favorite flavor text is Riven Turnbull, which,
oh my god,
I didn't know this was a card. It's some random one of those random legends that it's like an overcosted multicolor card. It's like we made this card 2 colors, added a mana, and gave it -1/-1, and people are still excited to play it because it's multicolored.
It's a 5/7 for 7 mana, 5 colorless, a black and a blue, and it taps to add a black.
Is that the one? All right,
That's
that's
all he does.
Yeah, that's what you need is your mana ramp there. But political violence is perfectly legitimate answer to the persecution handed down by dignitaries of the state. Those are big words. So, that's exactly what you need out of your 7-drop is an extra mana. This art's kind of crazy. All right, his favorite vacation location is Disney World, which is very fitting, I guess, if you know Brian in terms of his Disney songs and whatnot. And Disney is a wonderful place, and I never thought about it as a kid, but it's really cool to go as a parent. Like when you just have your child light up when they like walk into the park for the first time or see some of those things. That I think is probably better than any of the experiences I had when I went there as a kid. I think that's really cool. His favorite pizza topping is just the traditional pepperoni. What's your opinion on pepperoni? Or is
I actually love it. I think there's a lot of beauty in the simplicity. Robin's talking a little bit of shit in the comments here, but I think pepperoni in and of itself is a beautiful, beautiful pizza. It's simplistic. The toppings don't get crowded and cause the pizza to undercook. I actually love pepperoni. I love pizza in general. It's one of my favorite foods. I love all kinds of toppings. I love anchovies, even though I know it's blasphemous to say that. But my go-to is pepperoni.
Yeah.
I just love pepperoni.
Yeah, I do like it. Also, like, I don't know if, like, is there ever have you ever had like bad pepperoni on a pizza? Like, I don't feel like I've ever had a pizza that like screwed up the pepperoni part. I don't know if that's.
I don't think so.
So it's consistently awesome. I guess it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's solid.
I also have this takeout place where they have like regular pepperoni, but then they also have like it's like a little bit thicker and like it curls up and gets crispy. I don't know if it's just a different kind of meat or whatnot, but it's great.
I'll be right back.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll move on to Aaron. Now that Flint is gone, that we can talk about him behind his back. Aaron says that Flint might be the nicest guy on the planet. Oh, I guess this is a good thing that Flint's gone. We don't want this going to his head. So it's hard to say he's my rival, but he's ended an awful lot of my decent runs. So Flint can be well, I was gonna say Giant Slayer, but he might just be the giant. So he can be the gatekeeper sometimes, keep people out of those top 8s or top 16s of the tournaments. Aaron's favorite Magic artist is D. Alexander Gregory, which, coming up, I do not know what art he's done. I'm going to be looking up artist to see if I can figure out any of the cards that are well known for this artist. Uh, I mean, I see some cards, but none of them are like standing out as like iconic pieces. Like Land Grant. I mean, I guess Gifts Ungiven, but that's a more modern card. Final
What are we talking
Fortune.
about?
D. Alexander Gregory, the artist.
Oh,
I was gonna say I'm like I don't recognize the name and I don't recognize like art. Curse Scroll, I guess, would probably be the most famous piece.
yeah,
Curse,
I don't recognize the name.
Curse Scroll, Curse Totem, Elvish Champion from Invasion, Aura of Silence. So it is kind of like a softer art, the style, which is cool. Devouring Strassus is a card that I always thought was really cool. Not very playable, but Aaron, what's your Curse Scroll Imperial Armor? Okay, Lifeline. I was going to ask which particular arts are your favorite, but Aaron chimed in already. His favorite, the flavor text, Squandered Resources. He traded sand for skins, skin for gold, gold for life. In the end, he traded life for sand. Afari Tales. Yeah, that one's cool. It always reminds me. Have you ever seen that? It was a while ago, but someone like traded a paperclip for a house. They like did a series of trades. You ever heard that story?
No, I haven't.
So like someone like started with a paperclip, they traded it for like a pen. They traded that pen for something, and eventually they like were able to build it up, and they got a house with just from starting with a paperclip. And so just that flavor text always reminds me of that scenario. His favorite vacation location is Willow's Lodge in Woodville, Washington. Is that a famous place?
I don't know it. Let me look it up.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just like maybe a nostalgia thing, something he goes to with his family, or Spa in Wine County, wine country.
It's,
okay.
It's northeast of Seattle.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I have not. I mean, I've been out west a couple of times, but I was pretty young. Well, once was to play Magic, and then once was visit family in Seattle. But yeah, I haven't been out west that much.
I have been out west a time.
Yeah.
Aaron, if you're there, I've been to Bellevue and Redmond, and even up into Kirkland, but I haven't been quite up to where Willow's Lodge is. Interesting. Looks nice. Looks very nice.
All right. He said his favorite pizza combination is combo with extra cheese, no mushroom. So I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that I'm like, okay, combo. I don't know exactly what would be like if I asked for a combo pizza. I didn't know what would be on there. Do you know like if without looking it up?
Yeah, it would be sausage, pepperoni, green pepper, onion, mushroom.
Okay. I mean, like to me, like when I read that, I'm like, that just seems like Supreme with sausage. But I guess I don't know. Is Supreme even like a set thing? Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think
they're the same pizza.
Oh, is it? I thought Supreme doesn't necessarily have sausage, but okay. If it's the same, then it's. I think after I searched combo, I said, "What is the difference between combo and Supreme?" And I did not get a super definitive answer. So, all right, they're the same. All right.
I think it's just a regional or colloquial thing, or just a pizza thing.
All right. Yeah.
Having worked at several pizza places growing up, they're pretty much the same.
Okay. Soda versus pop. Okay, that kind of thing. All right, we'll move on. We're going to Anthony. We'll talk about his biggest pre-modern rival is Galen Lemay, which I think is kind of funny because I associate like the same deck with both of those players, like Anthony and Galen. Like I feel like they play combo decks a lot, and I don't know, maybe it's just because like at the early days when there were a lot less players, I feel like Galen would be playing like Bargain Storm or whatnot. I don't know if he's played Doomsday before, and obviously Anthony was playing Doomsday a lot, but I kind of like associate them with the same type of decks.
He's chimed in chat that Galen crushed him several monthly top eights.
Top eights, yeah. Okay.
Back in the old days.
All right, yeah, it's fun to say old days, yeah. You could go like 2-2 and maybe make a top 8.
Yeah, it's like 15 players or 20 players.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that we've grown, so it's a little bit more challenging, but yeah. His favorite artist, again, is Rebecca Guay, so popular choice among our players. Can't really add too much to that. You have a great artist. Best flavor text is the Tempest Counterspell. It was probably a lousy spell in the first place.
I like it.
Which reminds me, and I don't know if like I mean, I guess I think of whenever I hear that flavor text, I think of the Remand one, which is like something about all that arm waving and babbling was impressive. And I wonder if that is, I mean, I guess you can only be like so creative with Counterspell flavor text, but if that is supposed to be like an homage to that flavor text or not, I don't know. But maybe not. His favorite vacation is in Cortona, Italy. I've never heard of that city. At least I don't think I have. What part of Italy is that?
I have not either. Walled city in Tuscany region, like stepping 200 years in the past. Great restaurants. Cool.
Cool. Yeah, I would love to go to Italy and see some of like the history that's just in like the buildings. I know it's kind of like in the US, you're like, oh, this building's like 200 years old. That's super old. Like everyone in Europe just laughs. Like, yeah. So yeah, it'd be cool to make it out to Europe and see some of those things. But
ooh, this pizza topping.
yeah, so we're getting spicy here. So pepperoni and jalapeno.
All right, so I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring here for the trifecta, and this is probably gonna make a lot of people in chat freak out, and I don't care. But pepperoni, jalapeno, and pineapple is an amazing combination.
Well,
if you can tolerate pineapple on pizza, it's really really good.
I really like just the combination of jalapeno and pineapple. I think go really well together. Like the heat and then the sweetness of the pineapple, I think are great.
Yeah, it's sweet, it's spicy, it's savory, it's delicious.
Yep, I will be. I'll be pro pineapple on pizza.
I just need to ban Pete from chat here.
You can just give him a timeout. Just give him a timeout.
Just give him a little timeout.
Flit's got the authority, and all right. So we'll move on. Oh no, was that all of them? Yeah, it was. Okay. All right. So have you been in contact with our players to see if maybe they're able to start a little bit early?
I believe they are, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both Anthony and Aaron. They're both in chat right now anyway, chiming in, so we can probably start whenever.
All right. Well, in that case, let's put up our little intermission signs. We'll get the player set up. We'll be back in a few minutes. So sit tight, everyone. We will be back shortly for our second match of the night. All right, thanks for waiting, everybody. We are heading back. Well, this is not our right. This is not our. Well, it has a schedule up for tonight. Okay, Aaron versus Anthony. We have our scheduled match. So let's move over to the band screen. We can talk about the decks that the players have available. So Aaron's 3 decks are Junfire Rock. That's 1 deck, not 3. Forbidian and Bant Counter Slivers. And then Anthony has Tortured Madness, Blue-White Wizards, and Dig Site. So Aaron's Bant Counter Slivers was banned, so we won't be seeing another Slivers deck tonight. And then Anthony's Tortured Madness was banned. So Aaron has selected the Junfire's Rock deck, and Anthony is going with the Blue-White Wizards. So let's take a look at the decks, and then we'll talk about what we think the key cards of the matchup will be. So this Jund Rockfires deck is kind of, if you took your stereotypical rock deck and then you added in red cards for Fires of Yavimaya, which gives your creatures haste. It also can sacrifice to give a creature +2/+2. There's some lightning bolts. There's a Thunderscape Familiar, which I think is a card that Aaron actually has been really impressed by the more he's played with it. It just makes all the other cards in the deck cheaper. So I don't know if he's interested in, he only has 2 of them, so I don't know if he's interested in upping the count of those. Then there's also the heavy hitter of Shivan Worm, that 5 mana 7/7 trampler, which could really come out of nowhere and smack someone in the face if it has haste. So we'll hope to see something flashy like that happen. But this deck just does a good job of kind of playing different roles. It can be controlling if you want to duress and hold away creatures and then Pernicious Deed and then kind of mop up with some big green creatures. Or against a control deck can kind of apply some pressure quick, get a Fires Yamai in play, and then maybe a blue deck is pretty scared because every turn, every threat could deal a bunch of damage. Like if a Blaster comes down, it's haste and shroud and difficult to get rid of. So that's the Jundrock Fires deck. The Blue-White Wizards deck is kind of similar to the deck that we saw earlier tonight with the idea of the birds, but instead of the evasive creatures, you have the wizards, which are a little bit more disruptive, and I guess some of them have a little bit more power toughness. But the creature suite, there's a guild mage and apprentice; those can tap creatures. But then meddling mage helps against combo decks. And then a Feto Grifter does its impression of opposition. You can tap 2 untapped wizards to tap a permanent. And then the Patron Wizard, which gives every wizard the ability to tap to force spike a spell. But this deck is looking to kind of just take a little bit of board control and then use permission or tempo spells to take over the game. So I'll move over. We'll talk about what I expected to be the key cards of this match. I think the first one is Pernicious Deed. I think that is the best card out of the Jund Fires deck. A lot of what Anthony's going to need to do is playing to the board with his creatures, with his shared triumphs, with his winter orbs, and all of those get swept up by a single Pernicious Deed. So a great way of card advantage for Aaron. Also, the cards that Anthony is going to be deploying are going to be, in general, a lot cheaper than what Aaron has. So there might even be situations where after a Pernicious Deed is used, Aaron still has a formidable board presence. So look out for Pernicious Deed. I think it's one that Anthony is going to do his best to name with Meddling Mage or keep off the table with permission. The Blastoderm I selected just because it is a creature that's going to be bigger than all of Anthony's threats, and it has Shroud. So it can't be tapped down by Feto Grifter, can't be Source of Plowshares, and can't be tapped by the next card, Stormscape Apprentice. I don't know if this actually card will be that impactful, but I felt...
But
but I like this card, and if there's ever a chance for this card to be a key card, I guess it's now. So I put this one up here.
It's always a key card in Mike's book.
Yep. Well, this card will come down early, and it's always, I mean, not always, other than like Blaster, but it's in theory going to be able to trade up. So you're going to be able to tap cards like Spiritmonger or the Shivan Worm, and just a 1 mana will just be able to get those creatures. And it also might be a spot where you're end of turn, tap a creature, untap, tap a creature, get in for an Alpha Strike. So I don't know. I said Stormscape Apprentice. I was kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, I think, for the key cards for the Wizards deck, but the other one I think is Swords to Plowshares, just the efficient removal spell against some of the big creatures. But the problem is it doesn't hit a card like Blastoderm, so there still are holes in this logic that Swords does not answer everything. Is there anything you wanted to add, Flint?
I think the only thing that I wanted to add is it'll be interesting to see how quickly Anthony can get a Winter Orb in play. It's not one of your key cards, but I do think it's really important because if Aaron doesn't have a Pernicious Deed and Anthony times a Winter Orb really well and then follows up with Wizards to continue to tap down things, I think it might be really hard for the Rock to get out from underneath that. So Winter Orb could be a key card in my book.
Okay, so let's go over and start our second match. So
All right,
we have,
I'll message them.
We have Aaron with on the left, which I will flip his screen. Might need to flip both of these. All right, 180, and I feel like some of the arts, like, okay, I always have to double check to make sure that I actually do need to flip them. All right, let's flip this one. Okay, so we should be good to go here. I will be getting our poll ready. So Flint, just give a play-by-play for the first bit.
Of course. City of Brass from Aaron. And a Birds of Paradise. Gorgeous looking City of Brass, gorgeous looking birds. I like the start. We have a white bordered from Anthony, but hey, it's revised. I'm a big fan of revised myself. And he runs out a wizard.
A wizard, a hapless researcher.
A very unlucky wizard. A very unfortunate wizard. All right. Wait a minute. Mismatched birds.
All right. Well, we see the Thornscape familiar, not apprentice. So it's just all mana dorks, effectively.
Potentially big turn 3 from Aaron. And Anthony's going to tap out here and play a, what is that, a Void Mage Prodigy?
Yep, Void Mage Prodigy.
Is that the time-shifted one?
It could. Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, there was also like a DCI promo, but I think it's the time-shifted one.
Yep.
But I will provide this wonderful one. I know we talked about this one before, but
in all of its pelvic glory.
Yes, I don't know. I still kind of like this one. I like them both. They're both good. I don't know. Everyone hates this one apparently, but I guess I'm the only one who likes this. So, there's also like a Magic TV episode where they talk about it, and LSV talks about this card. He makes his like ooh noise, and I always think of that too. So maybe that's part of it. But meanwhile, a Fires of Yavimaya has been added, so
pretty good.
Things would be kind of scary. One thing that kind of note, we didn't talk about the hapless researcher, but it's kind of cool that just it can get in the way of like a Blastoderm or a Spiritmonger. It wouldn't even give the Spiritmonger a counter because you could sacrifice it, and so it could just be a nice little speed bump that comes into play maybe in a damage race situation.
Absolutely. So we see Aaron about to tap his reflecting pool here. Is he like considering running out like a deed? I mean, if he's got gas in his hand, why not run it out? Is he worried about Winter Orb? What could he have?
Yeah, and I guess the question is like, what is the downside kind of thing? And I guess Winter Orb would be a card that you would be afraid of, because otherwise, what does Anthony punish by?
I don't know.
By Aaron playing to the board. I can't think of anything. Because the disenchants are in the sideboard.
Yep.
Here we have the Pheto Grifter, so I mean, as far as things goes, I was thinking that like Aaron was going to be deploying a threat much quicker. So if Anthony's able to kind of keep things at bay, I guess here's shields are down now, but like the Void Mage kind of comes up here where like you're able to leave 2 mana up every turn, and then you get to pick which spells you want to resolve or not. So things look okay for the Wizards deck. I think in general, I think the matchup is a little bit unfavorable for it, but this board state looks okay. Maybe that was the card he was pausing on, would be the Ball Therapy.
There we go. And it's interesting too because the Wizards deck really is a tap out deck, right? He doesn't run counter spells in the main deck at least. So he's looking to just spend all of his mana every single turn, get as many wizards as he can on the board, and then try to control the game.
Okay. And we saw a Winter Orb, a Meddling Mage, a Sword Suppositories, and a Pheto Grifter. So I guess if your mana's not tapped, then I guess you're not as afraid of Winter Orb. But there might be a position where because a Pheto Grifter can tap stuff down. So there might be a spot where Anthony might just be willing to play a Winter Orb and then slowly tap down all of Aaron's permanents. Ooh, I should catch up on all the follows that we've had tonight. So earlier we had Dabuda113. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Hero739. Thank you. Nico Mino. Thank you for the follow. Kevin Cosnerino. So thank you, Robin, for the tier 1 subscription.
Thanks, Robin.
And then just recently, Entrox. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream.
So I have to shame Aaron here.
Why is that?
In a world of open deck lists, Aaron named Counterspell.
He's just that afraid of it. It's all right.
Yeah.
I always think that the counter spells are in the main of this deck too. So
I know, that's why I looked. I thought they were too, and that's why I double checked and then I commented on the tap out nature of Anthony's play. But yeah, sorry, Aaron. We've all been there.
All right.
You know what he should have named?
Hunted Wumpus.
You got it. Right, what were you gonna say?
Shivan Worm got tapped, right? It did not attack. I'm assuming, right? Yeah. Look. Okay. Life totals. We have. All right. I guess 1 damage came in. I'll catch up. Okay, so 17 to 19. That's where we're at. I'm glad that the players always have a phone that I can check. Otherwise, I would spend all the entire match just trying to figure out what the life totals are.
We'd never get anything done. It'd be a whole thing, everybody.
All right, we do see the winter orb. So this is a spot where, I mean, all the lands were tapped, and Aaron kind of knew what was coming. I mean, he saw the winter orb, so he's thinking either that this Shivan Worm. I mean, I guess the Fetto Grifter has to tap 2 wizards.
But it can tap itself, right?
Yes.
We talked about this. I remember.
Yep. So upkeep, he will tap the Shivan Worm.
It's interesting he took the swords instead of the winter orb.
Well, right? especially because Anthony doesn't have access to white mana right now, but
yeah.
Maybe he's thinking he would answer the Fetto Grifter, and then there's another one in hand too, so it's kind of interesting. So
pretty heads up play here too, though, like using his wizards to tap his own winter orb so he can untap his lands.
Yep,
right?
Yep. And so he adds to the board another Fetto Grifter, and is it a one drop wizard? Was it another hapless one? 2 hapless, 2 Fetto Grifters. I think that's what it is.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, so he's got 2 pair, and then the Void Mage Prodigy gets in there. So yeah, this seems like a spot where the Wizards deck. So interesting that Anthony doesn't tap a land during the upkeep.
I guess I was just thinking that, but he still has the bird, right?
And like a card like Pernicious Deed, like it's really hard to keep that off because like the Thunderscape Familiar, it costs less, and that's like the card that's probably the scariest in the situation, and then this Blastoderm is probably the next scariest.
Yeah. Well, so he gets to tap a land. He gets to tap his orb.
Good.
Or I guess he's going to combat here, right? So he's going to tap the worm and the orb. So he can untap his islands.
Yeah. And so then 6 damage will come crashing in.
Just going to eat it. We got ourselves a game. Yep. This is great.
Blastoderm is definitely problematic in this position. So yep. So the 2 wizards were used to tap the winter orb so that he could untap his mana. But I mean, like if he drew a plains, that'd be really good because then like Meddling Mage would come down, like Hapless Researcher could block a Blastoderm, and is that
another Grifter?
All right, we got a Grifter here, and so now he has 6 wizards. Okay, so he can tap 3 permanents.
So he's gonna tap a worm and a.
Oh, it looks like he's attacking.
Okay, so he's definitely gonna tap the worm. He's probably gonna take another 5 here.
Yeah,
he's gonna tap his orb.
I think he might block. 1 Hapless Researcher might get in the way of a Blastoderm. I would not be surprised to see that. And like if he doesn't draw a white source, then he might just drop the Melee Mage.
So, Gabe, the red creature is the Stormscape Familiar.
Yeah, I'll bring that one up. Nope, not. It's the Thunderscape.
I mean, Gabe's like an encyclopedia for obscure pre-modern cards, so I think all you really have to do is say the name, and he already knows. But this is just for everyone else, obviously.
Thunderscape. I think I might have been saying Thornscape.
But... You were.
All right.
I'm gonna blame it on you.
All right.
Thunder.
Yeah, 2 mana, 1/1. It's a first striker though.
It's pretty solid. A lot of familiars are really solid. The black one regenerates.
First strike's pretty interesting, like especially on this board. Like if Aaron chooses not to attack with that Thunderscape Familiar, it makes like Anthony, because Anthony's attacked with the Void Mage Prodigy twice. It makes attacking a lot more awkward for Anthony. But he's choosing to trade the 1 damage. So
he'll block and then tap his orb, and then sack it.
All right, so he's blocking with a excess Fetto Grifter. Interesting.
Yeah. And now he's going to sack it to draw, right?
I feel like unless you're like 2 cards of your hand are perfect, wouldn't you just want to block with the hapless researcher?
That's kind of what I thought, is that he would block the researcher and then sack it, right? Because you sack it to draw and then discard. Is that what it does? It's
Yep.
been a while.
Yep.
Yeah. So his cards must be, or his 1 card in hand must be good. We don't know about. There's the deed.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah. Can he deal with that at all?
No, I don't think so. I mean, preemptively, yes. Like he could counter it before it comes down, or name it with meddling mage. But in this spot, this just looks nasty. I don't think there's. I think this card's gonna sweep up everything.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 4, 8, 10 white sources in the deck. It's really unfortunate he couldn't draw one for the mage, to say the least.
Yeah. Also, it would have been funny. It's kind of interesting that the winter orb's in play, but if it weren't, then the creatures could tap the City of Brasses to deal damage. They would both be a clock and Russian imports, but since those City of Brasses haven't untapped, Aaron isn't taking any additional damage. Yes, the Mighty Penguin Mind's Desire is banned in this format. Which
Be fun to play with it, though.
Yeah, there's a league going on where all the cards that are banned in pre-modern are restricted for this tournament, and so I think there's like 18 people trying it out, and they've built some crazy decks. Flint is one of them, so he'll probably have some stories. You haven't played any of those matches, have you yet?
No, I haven't put the deck together yet.
Okay.
I know what I'm playing. I have my list, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't thrown the cards together yet. I think I'm going to play Mike Arnold on Saturday.
Okay.
And Gabe, I'm not going to say what my deck is on stream. I'll send it to you later if you're not playing.
All right. So these wizards are tapping stuff down. Tapped on the Shivan Worm. Where are we at? The Blaster Room not attack? Oh, the D got activated. All right.
Yeah. Robin, nothing's on Saturday specifically. It's just that's when I'm probably going to play my first Premodern Unchained in the Explorers League match.
IE score Riza. Oh man, names are hard to say. Thank you for the follow.
It looks like he's scooping him up here.
Yeah.
The deed's just pretty backbreaking.
Yeah, that definitely is a hard card to come back for the deck.
So good, right?
Yes.
Such a great card.
Oh, I love a good pernicious deed. Oh, we're not dead yet. We're not done yet.
What? We're not?
Just the creatures died. Okay, it was a scooping motion of the creatures, not of the game yet. So.
Is it the draw then scoop?
Yeah, I'm sure we're not going to be playing much longer, but
yeah.
This meddling mage will stay face up, as it's been known about for a while, but it's not in play. I'm not going to worry too much about the life totals. All right, we've got a Patron Wizard, so he's making an appearance briefly. And
Anthony's just thinking, where were you earlier?
Yeah.
When that dude came down.
Yeah, just the interesting thing with the Patron Wizard in this matchup, I just don't know if it's at its best because there are just so many mana sources out of Aaron's deck that like the birds and the familiar just can get an additional mana pretty easily, that the Patron Wizard might not be that effective. All right, let's look at decks so we can predict some sideboarding. The Jund Rockfires. So Earthquake is a card that I could see coming in. A lot of the creatures on Anthe's side are smaller, so that's a way to kind of get some card advantage there. sweep away a number of wizards if the coast is clear, and then smash in with your big dudes. Flame Tome Kabu also seems like a card that could be great. It's a little bit expensive, but I mean, you're always going to get card advantage out of it if it resolves. Actually, I shouldn't say. Well, I was going to say always, but because if you have like a Hapless Researcher in play and you sacrifice it before the Flame Tongue Kabu comes into play, Flame Tongue Kabu has to target something. So there have been situations where Flame Tongue Kabu has shot itself. So the Terminates are cards that are fine, but I mean, in general, I don't know if you need to go like 1-for-1 with all the wizards. The wizards are pretty cheap. I think you have cards like Pernicious Deed and Earthquake pick you that removal, and I don't know if the Terminates are the most important cards here. So let's look at the blue-white wizards list. Kind of problematic here.
I'm back.
Yeah, you just let so the players know they probably have to remute you.
Hey guys, remute me. I lost my connection there. Thanks.
So the wizards deck, I mean, the options in the sideboard, I mean, none of them seem particularly. I mean, do you bring in Disenchants against like a Pernicious Deed deck? I guess there's Fires of Yavimaya as well. It's just the problem is if you know about a Disenchant, you could play around it with Pernicious Deed.
Is that the only card? Is it the only enchantment?
No, there's Fires of Yavimaya and
it's less
Recurring Nightmare, and which also Recurring Nightmare is a card you can play around a Disenchant.
I think it's just Counterspell and Worship.
You'd bring in Worship?
Yeah, I think I would.
All 4 of them? The problem is just
I don't think I'd bring in 4. I think I'd maybe bring in 1 or 2.
What cards are you bringing out then?
I would take out. Oh, wow, that's actually really hard. Looking at the list, there's not a lot of room. I'd probably take out some Shared Triumphs, honestly.
Maybe. Yeah, I do agree that Deed like wrecks Worship, but like Deed kind of wrecks your whole deck. So
yeah, and it's the highest converted mana cost of any permanent he's going to play.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like you could say, okay, my plan is just always have the problem. Yeah, the problem is there's cards like Duress and Cobalt Therapy. So like if Anthony's like fully on that plan of protect the queen kind of thing, it's pretty hard. Because Aaron, I think, would be able to find a way with Cabal Therapy.
Yeah, I think I cut the 4 Shared Triumph and I bring in 3 Counterspell and a Worship. That's probably what I do. You just got to keep him off his key cards. You got to keep him off Deed. And if you can keep him off Deed with Worship on the battlefield, you're feeling pretty good because I don't believe he has any other enchantment hate.
There's Naturalize, I think, in the sideboard, but
is there? Oh, there's only 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah, so it's pretty tough. The sideboarding I think is a lot harder for Anthony than it is for Aaron here. Things just seem to get better. Which reminds me of the poll. I think it was unanimous that the Jund Fires Rock deck would win. So I think we can all root for the underdog then to try and take it to the third game here.
Recurring Nightmare for Blastoderm is just cruel too. All right. I'll let them know that they can go ahead with game 2 when they're ready.
Okay. All right, if Anthony's on the play, I mean, I can see situations where like Winter Orb seems a lot more powerful on the play. It just seems like you're going to catch Aaron in spots where he's tapped out a lot more, and you might have a board presence that can take advantage of it. So also just, I mean, like Patron Wizard is better. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like just the card that Anthony is going to be worried about this entire match is Pernicious Deed. So, all right, here's the card I called. I called it important. A key card.
Key.
Yes.
Pivotal, paramount, the crux of the deck.
All right. Well, it drew a lightning bolt, so that's like that's supporting of my statement, right?
I think it's good
All right.
in this matchup.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that Anthony will be a lot happier if he's able to have white mana, which he does. So we see a turn 2 meddling mage, and I would have to guess that this is naming Pernicious Deed, but I could be wrong. Okay. Oh no.
Tis the deed.
So red mana is gonna draw another bolt. So meddling mage down. Sorry, Chris Bakula. All right. A hapless researcher and avoid a mage prodigy.
All right.
So maybe a little bit of wizardry beatdown. But what is the Junfire's deck able to muster up? A Fire's a Yavimaya. It's a 3-mana enchantment, but it's not. I mean, it's still fine, but it's no Pernicious Deed. So
Look at that mana base right now on Aaron's side. It's so crazy. Mountain Swamp, Carplucin Forest. Not something you see often in Premodern.
I see it every day.
Every time I close my eyes.
All right. Well, actually, 4 mana. Oh, I was gonna say 4 mana is pretty good for Anthony because he might be able to play like some 2-drops and then still have blue up to use Void Mage Prodigy. But we see him use 3 blue mana for the Patron Wizard.
And he's going to get in here as well. He feels like he has at least 2 more to make Aaron pay.
Yeah. So it's always interesting to see what the player is going to do when you do a Patron Wizard of how many creatures do you attack with? Because it's like, how many force spikes do I need to use? Wow, there's a 3rd bolt. Yep, we'll make them pay. Make them pay.
Always make him pay.
But yeah, that their lightning bolt is pretty good. I guess the one upside for Anthony is that it took Aaron's whole turn, and he doesn't have a 4th land. So at this point, I mean, I think it might just be if Anthony's able to have a steady stream of wizards, he can attack for 3 every turn, and then have fodder to sack away with the Void Mage Prodigy.
I mean, I'd love to see a Winter Orb right here, right?
Sure.
And he's going for 3. Boom. I too can draw multiples of a card.
Yeah,
Perhaps not 3, but here we are.
All right, so I think the wizard deck can get this done here. And even if the 4 spikes aren't enough from the Patron Wizard, there is an activation of the Void Mage Prodigy, but I don't know how many 1 mana spells are super impactful. I guess 2 mana spells would do it if he has another land. Yeah, I think in the spot, like if you have 3 mana, you're just saying, okay, this one time I want my 2 mana up, in case anything scary comes down. But like, I guess it would have to be a 2 mana spell to be really scary that he would be able to pay through the 4 spikes.
What is Aaron holding on to with 4 mana?
Well, it could be a lot. It could be 3 mana spells because of the Patron Wizard. There's a lot of spells he can't really cast into that board.
Well, definitely now.
All right, so 2 wizards are gonna. Oh, I've not been updating life. Aaron's down to 11.
Yeah.
And we see a fetch land that'll put him to 10. The Bloodstained Mire. This puts him to 5, but there's still wizards to tap, still wizards to sack. So
yeah.
I say sack or stack. I don't know what I said, but
I think you said sack.
Okay.
Also, can we just point out how beautiful that mountain is that Aaron's playing?
Or is Bob in the chat? Let me see.
I don't know if he is, but that is my favorite Mirage.
No. All right, I'll have to let him know. He'll have to watch the replay. Bob agrees. The Battling Bob. All right, 3 mana. This is an Earthquake for 2. Do you think you want to let this resolve?
Absolutely.
I started typing Earthquake Resolve.
Now you got to sack a mage.
All right, I don't have Portal 2 on, so we'll have to do with the alpha art.
Still good.
So I mean, yeah. Also, there you get to make him pay first too. Like
It just takes his whole turn.
yeah, so that's pretty cool. So I think almost at this point, you just attack with everything, right? And then especially if you have another wizard, and just say, okay, I'm gonna sack this Fetto Grifter. Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's 5.
And Gabe in chat, all of for Mirage lands all day, as far as I'm concerned. I've said it before on stream, so folks are probably sick of hearing me say it, but Mirage has the best basics of any set, any standard set at least. I will fight you, even if I lose.
The purplish one, is that the Sunset? Sunset Island is like, I think, leagues ahead of all the other ones.
It's just gorgeous, but the other ones are so good too. But that Sunset, oh my God.
All right, Wizards takes it down.
There we go.
The good little tempo, and then, yeah, while Aaron had 3 lightning bolts, Anthony just had enough creatures to back it up. So that was almost like kind of the opposite of what we saw game 1. I mean, game 1 was, I think, even closer than that game was. That was just a kind of a showcase of what the Wizards deck is trying to do. So that was pretty cool to see that kind of just curve out and everything kind of fall into place.
Good game. We got a match here, folks.
Gabe, I cannot pull up specific basic lands on my card fetcher. So I know there was one time, I think when I tried to bring up Mountain, and I don't know if it works if I say, because I can pick the set, so I don't know if it brings up. Okay, yeah, the island that it brings up is not the island that I prefer.
These are not the islands you're looking for. Do you think either of these players change any sideboarding based on play versus draw?
I think Winter Orb is a card that you could take out on the draw.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about like the first game, the Winter Orb was in play, but like it almost just made, I mean, I don't know. Because there's just like birds and Thunderscape Familiar, and like if you have a turn 2 deed or something, like I don't know. I can see it coming out. I can see you leaving it in. It's just saying like this is one of my more powerful cards. But I can just say like there are situations where the Winter Orb's not great. If we're talking about basic lands, Tempest, I do not like the Tempest lands. I don't
like the Tempest lands either, and I love Tempest. It's one of my favorite sets of all time, but I do not like the basics.
Yeah, I don't. None of the lands really do it for me.
We got some hate for the Mirage Forest. Yeah. I hear you. The waterfall is gorgeous. The others are around the same, but it doesn't matter. Like the rest of the lands in that set are so good. You just can't compete. Mirage all day.
So I am.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, if I can bring up this mountain. I think it's growing on me, but I think Onslaught has a set of each of the lands that I like really enjoy. So I think I will be using Onslaught lands a lot more. You can see if you ever watch any of my online videos, those are the basics that I use. But I enjoy 5 different arts, and that's usually what happens to me is like I have 4 arts of the basic lands that I enjoy from one set, and then like one I don't really like. Like that's Mirage. Like I don't enjoy the forest one very much. It just doesn't speak to me. And then like Urza Saga, like 2 or 3 of them I really like. Like I like the plains and the island I think are really good in Urza's. And then the mountain one I can get behind, but like in the swamp one I can probably be convinced, but the forest I do not like in Urza's. Yeah, so I always feel like I need this full cycle to like, and that's a hindrance for me.
I'll back you up. I think Onslaughts are amazing. And you know, there are some like in Urza's block, like I like the plains, you know, they all kind of look the same to be fair, but they are gorgeous.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of variability. And the islands, you know, the Lightning Island is cool, but it's really like sharp and really like cut, which I know you like, really well defined.
Yeah.
So I'm less keen on it. And the same with the forests, they look very similar, but I kind of like the design. I don't think they're bad, but they don't really stand out as being great to me. I do like the kind of the ethereal nature of the planes, but Onslaught's great. Mirage is the best. Gabe, I hear you in chat about pushing the jungle theme. I don't care. The islands are just gorgeous, and the rest of them. But Portal 2, right?
Yes. Yeah, those
Portal 2
have
are great. It's an underdog.
but the problem is there's still one that I like. Portal 2, I really like plains. I really like a mountain. There's an island. I guess from Portal 2, there's one from Portal 1 that I really like. I don't know from Portal 2 if it has the same one I like. The one from by Eric Peterson. I guess he might have done multiple, but there's one particular one I like. I don't think there's a swamp in Portal 2 that I enjoy that much. I think the Susan Van Camp one is my favorite, but it's not it's not the greatest. And then I can't think if there's a forest I really like from Portal. It's weird because like there's Portal 1 ones that I really like and Portal 2 ones I really like, but there's not five of all of them from the same.
Yeah. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. And Richard Bork, Sunflower Plains. Yeah, the APAC lands are gorgeous. Sunflower Plains is my favorite. For personal reasons, sunflower is my mom's favorite flower.
All right, we got a key card in play.
Yep.
The
key card. The key card.
Stormscape Apprentice. We also have a Birds of Paradise.
All right.
Okay, so will Anthony have early access to white mana? That was one of the struggles I think in the first game. And here we see 3 mana and there's a Pernicious Deed, so
Dirty Deeds.
Kind of the sequences. So this just makes things really awkward for Anthony. Like, I don't know if he brought in the Disenchant, but it's really hard for him to like commit to the board because there's always the opportunity for Aaron always has the option just to sweep everything away. So Stormscape Apprentice is going to go aggro mode.
So he's really looking to land some kind of a pressure here to force Anthony to commit to the board, right? So it goes down to 16.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say he has to. Like, if you just wait, like, I think Aaron is the better late game deck. So if things just go, if people are just going Lango, and the game's going to draw out, I think that advantage goes to Aaron, especially with him at a deed in play. So we do see a counterspell is used on the Ravenous Baloth, so that makes sense. So Anthony's going to do what he can to keep Aaron from committing the board, especially if it's a card that has a larger converted mana cost, because that will stay around after a deed is used. But we see the Opheto Grifter is added. It'll be interesting to see when Aaron deems it worthy to use the deed. Because I found a lot of instances that you can actually be... you can just leave the deed in play if you have a strong inclination or you know it's going to stay in play. Then you can get a lot of advantage. Your opponent's hard-pressed to commit to the board, but then you're also able to develop, so they kind of either lose a bunch of cards by throwing them away to a deed, or they don't commit stuff and they fall behind on board. Okay, so...
Ooh. Earthquake here?
Yeah, is that what we have?
Yeah. Bird's dead too, right?
No, it's without flying. And that one was for...
Oh, that's right. Wow. Old school.
Yep.
Used to playing that Modern Magic.
That makes sense. Why would an earthquake affect a flying creature?
Yeah, I'd need something more like a hurricane, I suppose.
Yes. But, I mean, hurricanes definitely impact people on the ground, so that doesn't make any sense. All right, Thunderscape familiar? Thunderscape, yes, is added, and Hapless Researcher. So the Thunderscape just trumps this board. It's a 1/1 first striker.
So who do you like more here based on these positions? Who's favorite?
Aaron, I think by a
Yeah.
significant margin.
Indeed, is
I
just such a
think
great card.
I think Anthony needs to have brought disenchant in, draw white mana, and have the disenchant and use it to like have a decent shot. I think here. I think it's going to be pretty difficult for him to pull ahead in any meaningful manner without that. And I don't even know if he has the disenchants in. I don't know if it's correct to bring him in, because you might just say, "All right, I just am unfavored against a deed," but it just seems like, what do you do in this spot?
Blastoderm's pretty good. We're gonna see counterspell here.
I mean, if Anthony has it, I think he needs to use it.
Doesn't look like it.
Well, the nasty blasty is in play then.
Well, no, he's gonna dig. He's gonna dig one.
Oh, so interesting. So he's just using that for a counterspell. I think I would use that. I mean, I guess once it's in play, you can't do anything about it. But I almost feel like the halfless race, you get that same effect, and you are going to gain 5 life by blocking the Blastoderm. Yeah, I agree, Robin. This does look very over. Guess there's situations where draws might happen, but that Anthony could come back. But this seems real tough. Okay, white mana.
Okay. Yes, I was just gonna say, and he still hasn't drawn white mana, but there it is, and there's the mage.
I was hoping for a disenchant there, but just a meddling mage. I don't even. What card do you name in that spot?
Apparently, it's lightning bolt.
Okay, that makes sense. Here we see 2 mana. We'll cast a terminate. Okay, so that's a sideboard card that's come in, and then 6 damage from the Blastoderm and the Thunderscape familiar.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Stormscape Apprentice, a key card, so I think Anthony's okay now, right?
He's stabilized.
All
He's
right.
stabilized, folks.
All right, and another meddling mage.
I'm gonna guess it's bolt again.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I think that makes sense. But he didn't bolt the Stormscape Apprentice, but a deed activation, I think, is what was used. Okay, for 2.
Was it? Why
Yeah.
is the deed still there?
Oh, well, why did the Thunderscape familiar die in the Bird's Paradise?
It's 2. There we go.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, he just didn't put it in the graveyard. All right.
All right, so Anthony's at 3, I guess. Yeah, because he took 1 from the meddling mage. And he'll need to play a creature to block this Blastoderm next turn.
What's the follow up? Oh, Recurring Nightmare. What is? He's got a Ravenous Baloth.
Yep, he can just use that next turn if once the Blastoderm's at 0.
Yeah.
But might as well keep the Shroud creature around for 1 more turn.
Would you just sack the Blastoderm to the Ravenous Baloth and then switch him?
No, the Ravenous Baloth will come into play by sacking the Blastoderm, is what I was saying.
Oh my god, 2 deeds.
All right, let's jump over.
Right.
Let's listen to the players after the John Fires Rock deck has taken down the match.
Was the thing I was most worried about there. I figured if I could get Prodigy and Flash or Patron on the board, I could control the stack decently well. But if I actually don't have counterspells in the main deck, it's really just the Patron Wizards and the Void Mage Prodigies, and it's mostly just because the deck is tapping out so much, like just to be constantly deploying wizards. So I knew that if like a deed or something got down, underneath that, then I'd be in for a pretty rough time.
Yeah, and I knew with like all the board wipes in this deck and all the targeted removal, I'm like, this one feels like a solid matchup. Like, there wasn't anything that, like, I hate the Patron Wizard. My goodness, the lock that can happen there.
Yeah, I think I misboarded. I took out Shared Triumphs just because I wasn't sure what I didn't want. I think I should have just taken out the Winter Orbs just because with the birds, you can function mostly fine under it. And I just don't think it did much of anything for the, like when it was actually in play against you. So I probably should have kept Triumphs in just so that at the very least the, a couple of wizards could like double or triple block, like a Blastoderm, or a single wizard could block the Thunderscape fine. So I think that was a misboarding, but I brought in just counter spells just in hopes of like hitting the Deeds or the Earthquakes, and Worships, obviously, just because if I can keep something alive, then it's obviously good. But that could be a tall order against you with 4 Deeds, tons of removal, and Earthquakes on the board.
Yeah, it's I felt like this was, if I had to face one of the wizard decks, this is the one that I wanted to match up with them. Although I will say that's the other thing I brought in was the other Nightmare. I was like trying to figure that out. So the other Nightmare came in too. So it was just creature removal and then board wipes and Nightmare was the sideboard package. And sideboarded out the card that I was trying to remember. I'm like, oh yeah, there's one card I hate in here. Oh yeah, it's Spirit Monger. It's terrible.
But yeah, it's just clunky.
Yep.
And because Spirit Monger doesn't have trample like Shivan Worm does, right?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, the trample of Shivan Worm is just a 7/7 with trample.
Yeah.
And it's like so many of the things that I can chump block until I can chump block a Blastoderm until it dies. But that Shivan Worm will still crash in for 6 or 5 damage, and it's just pretty brutal.
Right. I think we've got them unmuted.
I've got them unmuted.
I've got them.
Yep. All right.
Hey guys.
Yep. We just been listening. Yeah. In terms of Anthony talking about your sideboard plan, we weren't sure exactly what you should do. I know I suggested bringing out Winter Orb on the draw. Flint seemed to be less inclined to do that.
I was more on the board out Shared Triumph plan.
Yeah, which I think is reasonable.
The Shared Triumphs just do more. Like, again, I think, I mean, especially Winter Orb's definitely bad if he has 1 or 2 birds in play, obviously. But
yeah,
what do the Shared Triumphs do?
They increase the clock.
They like Thunderscape Familiar, like 1/1 first striker, like lets wizards actually block it. Baloths and Blastoderms, like instead of needing to like triple or quadruple block those things, I could be double blocking them instead.
But isn't your game plan just to tap him down to begin with? Like, I don't understand like why mass blocking for damage is somehow a better alternative strategy than just trying to run your game plan of tapping. Yeah, Blastoderm you're going to chump regardless, right? But like, what's the difference between using 2 wizards to tap down a worm versus using 3 or 4 wizards to block a worm? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, but Shared Triumph actually lets you actually swing with some amount of wizard, like because you need some wizards. That's kind of the perplexing thing about this deck is that you're needing to hold so many wizards back to tap things down, and you're needing to hold so many wizards back to counter all their stuff with Patron Wizard. But if all you're doing is just playing wizards and not swinging, like you're not really getting ahead. It makes me think like Static Orb would be way more important in this deck than Winter Orb, because you could
would be great
because you could actually lock your opponent out because like their creatures and everything is getting tapped down, not just their mana. Because that's the question I find myself asking with this deck of just being like, okay, well, I've got this Patron Wizard out, I've got this Grifter out with the Winter Orbs, and I can tap down their mana and counter all their spells, like, but I'm not actually getting in for damage, and if the turns keep going and they keep playing and they're able to keep playing more lands, well then eventually a threat's going to get through. And so like, yeah, the ability to disrupt them and swing for damage, I wonder if that's important, and Shared Triumph contributes to that, I guess, because you're able to get in for more meaningful damage with a couple of wizards as opposed to just like one or two at a time. But then
I haven't played it, so you obviously can speak to it, but I'm not convinced, because you need a critical mass of wizards to be countering spells and tapping down permanents. So the point of where like the game tips in your favor and you can start attacking, I don't really think it's going to matter if it's 1 or 2 points per wizard or whatever it might be, because you have to have that critical mass to begin with. So the Winter Orb is going to tap down their land, so you can use your wizards to tap their creatures, and then you've got to kind of chump the Blastoderm. That's my take, at least, and
I think that's
certainly you all can disagree with me.
I felt like I was excited every time I saw you attack. Like I was actually happy to see you attack, because I'm like, that's one less wizard that's gonna force spike me.
Yeah, that might be true. It is important to recall that these decks were brewed when I should have been studying for PhD exams, and very little actual testing or playing happened in that time. So we're all learning together.
Hold on, let me ban your advisor. Your advisor actually is on here.
All right, yeah, well, I mean, I guess on paper, I think it looks like the Junfire's Rock just kind of has the edge and everything. The creatures are bigger, there's removal spells, and there's like a mass sweeper of Pernicious Deed, and there's some discard spells to like clear the way for that. So it seems like you had your work cut out. But the second game, I mean, was pretty awesome. Like I mean, and it's not like Aaron didn't do anything. Like you had 3 lightning bolts for some creatures, and like Anthony, you just kind of curved out and just really just took control of the game. So that, I mean, like the deck performed there. So even under a good draw.
That's kind of how it's drawn up. Like that's like if I think about like what's the ideal game for this deck, it's just like turn 1 wizard, turn 2 either a mage, a Void Mage Prodigy, or 2 1-drops, and then turn 3 Patron Wizard. Mm-hmm. That's like the perfect. That's the perfect opener.
And here I was thinking that I was going to take control of that game, and just every single turn there was another problematic wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if I would have kept I think I would have kept the Stormscape Apprentice alive for longer. Just because it by itself, I mean, the tap ability is certainly annoying.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you always need to save a removal, if you just always need to watch out for like either a Patron Wizard or a Void Mage Prodigy or something. Just because like if one of those comes down, then it's a dramatically different game.
Totally.
And sure, the master decoy effect of the Stormscape Apprentice is like really annoying, especially if it can just tap down a Shivan Worm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it would have been a remarkably different game if you let one of the 1/1 survive, but was able to get but I don't know. But then if the Patron Wizard resolves, it's 1 more wizard for 4 spiking. So it's kind of a difficult choice. So I guess I can't fault it too much.
Sure.
I have a very important question for Aaron. Are you wearing green, sir?
I don't think I am, no.
Somebody get to the Twin Cities stat.
And he still was able to win, even with that bad luck, I guess. I don't
know. I'm drinking a beer that's got a green label.
All right, close enough.
My green was totally like unintentional. I did not process that it was St. Patrick's Day when I decided to wear this shirt. I don't know if that explains my lack of luck in game 3, mulling to 5, and because I didn't intentionally wear a green shirt.
90% of the clothes I own are plain black T-shirts, so it was just a roll of the dice and statistics.
Okay.
But is that better or worse than my wardrobe, which is almost entirely made up of free T-shirts that I've gotten from either academic conferences or United Methodist functions?
Be careful with that. I had a statistics professor in undergrad who only wore shirts from academic conferences, and he was a chaos theory, like population dynamics, like researcher, and they were all like beetle conferences to do with like beetle populations, and they were like each one was more run down than the next. And at some point, we were just like, wait a minute, perhaps this guy isn't all there. So when
Wait.
you get your job and you're a teacher, just remember to wear more than just your conference.
It just means you have to keep going to conferences. You need to stay active in the field.
Hold on. I want to go back to this. There are conferences about like the spread of beetles. Maybe that makes sense. I guess it seems a little bit weird. Why are they handing out T-shirts for that?
You gotta wear it loud and wear it proud, my man.
All right, I guess. All right.
Anywho, any other thoughts on the match, like leading up to it, like what you decided to ban or how things panned out?
Yeah, I let's see, what did I even ban? Oh, I banned slivers. I banned slivers because I thought that Forbidian would be a pretty good or at least fine matchup. Like I figured I could slip some disruptive wizards like underneath the counter wall, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to jam the matchup, but I thought that slivers would be worse for me in the same way, kind of in the same dynamics that we saw in the first match tonight, of where just like slivers come down, they're cheap, they're fast, and they just quickly get big. And you know, like you're not going to Patron Wizard's not going to have much luck trying to, you know, counter, you know, just a flurry of 1-drops and 2-drops, especially when each one you let through makes the current ones better.
Yeah.
And so you're just quickly going to have like these 3/5s or these 4/4s, you know, untargetable even. Like you know, you get a crystalline sliver out, and my bare amount of interact, you know, with the swords and the grifters soon wouldn't be able to deal with them. So I figured as tough as, or maybe not tough, but just like as hard as I would have had to work to get a match win against Rock, I thought it would be either that much harder or borderline impossible against the slivers.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I was just gonna say, having tested with Wizards, Robin and I did quite a few games with Wizards, you know, just before we started this, and it was Slivers versus Wizards seems like a really decent matchup for Slivers. He's got a kind of a similar game plan, maybe a little bit more early removal, and it seemed like a really good matchup. So I was like, either I get Slivers or I get the Fires deck, and I feel like either one, if I go up against Wizards, I felt good about it. And I'm playing Slivers in the monthly right now, and I found out it's really bad against a similar deck to the Madness deck. Like there was a blue, black, green Madness deck in the monthly with Zombie Infestation that was super rad and destroyed Slivers. So I definitely did not want to find that
That's
matchup.
Interesting to hear. It's just like, just because it's just kind of a like a never like was that list running horrors or squeeze for the
Squeeze? Yeah.
Okay, so is it just like the never-ending stream of 2/2s?
Yep.
Like, yeah. I would just wonder. I guess the slivers can get pretty big, but I guess if they have the time to take a couple of hits, and if they're able to spit out a couple zombies, then you know they can double and triple block.
Sure.
Every sliver they take down makes them worse, I guess. I would my intuition, my like gut reaction would be that it seems like kind of a toss up in my head, but you've actually played the matchup, and that's interesting to hear.
Yeah, I played the matchup like 2 days ago. I'm like, oh, I can't let this happen.
Fair enough. I'm hoping I get to play Tortured Madness at least once more.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like Tortured Existence didn't really get to show its stuff in week 1.
Not just for Popper anymore.
It's not. It's good.
Anthony, the after the bans, so you had the dig site deck available. Were you thinking about bringing that at all, or were you just like too afraid to play that against like the Forbidden deck? Do you think it would have played okay against the Junfire's Rock deck, or do you think it's kind of just has the same issues?
That's a really, I did consider it because I thought if I had any thought that he was gonna play Forbidden, then like it would just be a hard no, just a hard pass. Like the only interaction the deck has is like three main deck counter spells and then the turnabouts.
Mm-hmm.
So like your only plan is like, okay, end of turn turnabout, and now I'll try and jam the future site. Like that just seemed bad. I considered Dig Site because I did think that he was highly likely to play the Junfire deck, but it just seemed, I don't know, it still seemed pretty quick. Like I was like kind of terrified of a turn 2 fires, turn 3 Blastoderm, swing for 5, and then it's like I haven't gotten to 10 islands yet.
Sure.
Like,
okay.
You know, like, but I definitely think it would have been a better matchup against the Jundrock than Forbidden.
Okay.
But I thought that I had still a better shot with Wizards just because I'm interacting much faster. But I don't know. It would have been it'd be interesting. Like I wonder how Anthony Prime did in an alternate universe with string theory, where the Anthony who decided to play Dig Site and give that deck a chance, because like exhaustion would be really good against you. Like that's a pretty, like I feel like you're tapping out like quite a bit, and obviously
all the time.
Obviously you're gonna swing. You're gonna attack every chance you get because there are no blockers or anything. So like exhaustion would be like a pretty decent time walk against you. I think it would just be a huge question of, are you able to push enough damage through quickly enough before kind of the time warps started chaining.
Okay.
And it could be balanced by the fact that you would have quite a few dead cards in your deck against it. So like on one hand, you've got free reign to just swing as hard and fast as possible, but like every creature removal spell you draw would just be dead.
I think the only creature removal in the main deck is the 3 bolts.
Is it?
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the terminates are sideboard.
Yeah. The idea actually with this was to it started with the fires list, and then it worked backwards what was not going to be good in potentially a combo or control heavy meta. I figured those might be 2 of the things that we saw the most. So if there weren't a lot of creatures played, I better move the Flame Tongues and the Terminates to the sideboard.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good move for this sort of format, this sort of structure. Especially when people are encouraged to get creative. Like we were talking, I assuredly muted. We were kind of like talking at the beginning of the match of the diversity of deck lists and whatnot, and I was kind of saying that I ended up with 2 out of 3 creature decks because I started with 3 just fiddly combo decks that just crumpled if you breathed on them. Like just a little bit of removal or a little bit of hand disruption, and this 4 or 5 card combo that I was trying to put together would just fold. And it was just, I tested enough of those brews that I was thinking to myself, like, there are going to be duresses, there are going to be cabal therapies, there are going to be wastelands, there's going to be removal. Like, people are going to get cute, but Magic is still Magic, and I can't just come with these 3 decks that just fold to any disruption. And so it ended up playing more creature decks because I was just thinking, well, these are just kind of solid and have consistent game plans, and they'll do their thing. Mm-hmm. So I think the move to kind of trim, maybe put that sort of like creature anti-aggro stuff in the board is pretty good, considering that we are kind of told to be creative and bring some brews.
Right.
All right, that's all the questions that I had. Was there anything else you wanted to ask, Flint? I don't see anything in the chat that they were asking.
Nope.
So, I want to thank you guys for coming on, and it was a fun match. I guess especially since that second game worked out the way it was, I think it gave a little bit of hope for the deck, because I think when I was talking about it, I thought it was just pretty heavily favored for the Junfire's Rock. I think the Wizards had an uphill battle. So it was cool to see that that they definitely had a fighting chance. So
Yeah.
Definitely agreed.
all right, so we will see you guys next week then.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Have a great night.
Okay, let's jump over to our schedule. We can look forward to our matches that are coming up on Monday. We have Robin playing against Sean, and then we have Aaron will be playing again. He will be playing against Gabe Farkas. So be some interesting matchups because I think okay, so Robin is 4-1. Aaron is 4-1, and Gabe is 3-2, I believe. That's where we're at.
Yeah,
I think.
actually, I have the new rankings here.
Okay.
So we have a three-way tie at first place. Aaron, Andy, and Robin are all tied for first right now. And then in fourth place, we have Gabe. In fifth place, we have a tie with Anthony and Bryan. And then Phil is seventh and Sean is eighth.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake up. I mean, as we close in the last few weeks, we'll be seeing the standings a lot more because we will be approaching that top 4 cut where the players will move on so that we can do our playoff. So there is still a good amount of pre-modern Magic in the PSS2. So we hope you guys are all enjoying it. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. Thank you for the follows and the subscriptions. And that's all I have. So until next time, take care.
Bye, everybody.